A very, very special happy birthday to the one and only Snowy White, the musician with whom I've been obsessed the most for the past 20 odd years. Very, very special, soulful, super precise blues guitarist, so modern blues, a blues with a lot of precision. Very, very special, very tasteful guitar player, very fluid notes, not playing too much, not soloing for hours. Had a very, very long and varied career. Played with many, many people. He started off as a session musician for whoever you could just imagine, from Cliff Richards to Donna Summer, whatever you can imagine. And in the late 70s, Pink Floyd spotted him, took him as a touring musician, the backup for Gilmore, and also gave him some solo spots in the concerts. And then later on, he continued with Roger Waters, Roger Waters' version of Pink Floyd, and things of that like that. Those of you who are familiar with the album Animals with Pink Floyd, which is the one that precedes The Wall, if I'm not mistaken. It's got to be that one. So you can find on YouTube there is a version that didn't make it to the album Pigs on the Wing, where he plays a solo. But you can find the alternate version. That's the 8-track only version. So the one that was released on the 8-track has him. He bridges the two parts. Amazing solo. Another song that a lot of people know is Midnight Blues. This is not the well-known Midnight Blues from Gary Moore or some other artist who wrote songs by the same name. He has his own Midnight Blues. Very, very special guitar player. Difficult to describe him, but like I said, very, very soulful blues, and at the same time, very precise. So imagine a Peter Green infused with a lot of Mark Knopfler. That would be the most precise way to put it in words, infused with a little bit of Gary Moore and Rory Gallagher. The fire of these two is not so evident, but sometimes it does come out. And if you want, you can throw in some high precision, like I would say almost Frank Gambale. Okay, that might be a little bit too clinical, but maybe Al Di Meola, let's just say. So imagine if Al Di Meola would be playing blues. I think that is a fair comparison or a fair assessment. He released 22 records under his own name. So after he was done with Pink Floyd, he went on to play with Thin Lizzy. Released two records with them, two records that are not considered or regarded very highly by Thin Lizzy fans, but I love them very much. They are Chinatown and Renegade. Chinatown gets a pass from Thin Lizzy fans, even though it's not considered to be on top. But I think it's a very special record, and that's actually the one that got me into Snowy. The first time I played that record, when I came back from the record store, and I heard the opening harmonies on We Will Be Strong, the first song on the record. I was hooked, and I said, I gotta find out everything about this guy, and I did, and I'm glad I did. And the second, Renegade, is typically considered the worst, or at least among the worst Thin Lizzy records. I totally disagree with that take. It's my favorite. It's the most varied, the most scattered, the most eclectic record, as they like to say. Each song has its own personality and its own sound. Very, very good record. Some great songs over there. Mexican Blood and It's Getting Dangerous. There's a song dedicated to Fats Wallers. Fats. Just the album is very, very special in my opinion. But this is about Snowy, so again, happy birthday. Born 3rd of March 1948 in England. And some great records. Besides for records under his own name, when not a session musician, he guested on Rick Wright's solo album, Mediterranean Sea. And also, very, very importantly, he can be heard on White in the Skies. I'm sorry, not White Skies, In the Skies, which is the first record that Peter Green recorded after his long disappearance when he was in a mental asylum, right after he left Fleetwood Mac. So in '79, he got back into music and he took Snowy White, and Snowy White is featured very prominently in either all the songs or almost all the songs on In the Skies. Great, great record, very, very strongly recommended. I'm not gonna list all of his records here, but I just going to mention some of the best, at least from my perspective, the way it is from 2005 with Max Middleton and those two musicians that he found sometimes in the 90s in Indonesia, Walter Latoparissa uh, on bass and Juan van Emmerloot on drums. And I think Kuma Harada also did some bass on that record. But at any rate, if you just have to have a handful of Snowy records, get that one. The way it is, released in 2005, phenomenal, phenomenal record. Features a very jazzed up version of Black Magic Woman, and the record is just great. Some other ones. This is his first one. Admittedly, not the best, but it's a good record. You give it some listens. The Journey Part One and Part Two, great. Don't Turn Back, Lucky I've Got You, The Answer, great. Some good songs. It could have been worked out a little bit and had a little bit better production and made more precise. But a great record. You have here The Agency. It has an insane, insane cover of The Thrill Is Gone. What is this one here? I was just playing it before, of course, as I always do. Open for Business. Also, very, very good record. This is when he really started getting very, very bluesy. There is another one from 2017, Realistic, that is among the best. So I would say The Way It Is, 205, Highway to the Sun, 1994. Phenomenal, phenomenal record. Some of his best work can be found on it. Realistic from 2017, very, very highly recommended. These that I showed you, you have to have at least either Open for Business or Change My Life. And this is the one that was released in '96, one after Highway to the Sun, that has the famous song Midnight Blues. But that's obviously not his only good song. And from his later catalog, these are among his newer records, also very good, kind of a change, shift in the aspect of the music. Obviously, he doesn't just repeat himself, he moves a lot. So here, that's a lot of moody, almost kind of ambient music with an underline, very, very smooth, very sweet, very tasteful blues guitar. Just amazing. So a big, big, big happy birthday to you, Snowy White. I hope I listed the bulk of his accomplishments and his music. But again, if Pink Floyd, if David Gilmour chose him to be his live second guitar player, that says a lot. There's another record on which he's featured, and that is Philip Lynnett's solo album, the first one, Solo in Soho. He plays on the title track, Solo in Soho. And if you listen to that track, it's also like super, super moody. It's almost like, well, probably not almost. Phil kind of felt the end coming soon. He couldn't deal, couldn't handle his addiction with drugs and alcohol and pornography and the fame. He didn't handle that well. So a couple of years after, about 6 years after that record, he died. But Solo in Soho, with the words also, is kind of a very painful and melancholic song, and Snowy captures that to the T. It's like a very, very haunting guitar. Amazing, amazing guitar player. I got to see him once with John Mayall and Paul Rogers. He was just absolutely amazing, phenomenal, super, super tasteful, always on point, great backing band. a lot of material, a lot of record, a lot to choose from. So if nothing else, if it's the first time you hear about him, or even if you knew about him but weren't super aware of him, I would recommend to check out YouTube. There's a lot of very, very good live performances with different iterations of his band. One of his best live work is I forget the name of the DVD, unfortunately. It was released in 2012, and it's something to the effect of Our Freedom, or let me just check it out for a second. After Paradise, there you go. After Paradise. That's the name of the DVD. That's also a must-have. It's built on the Snowy White and Friends. Great, great live performance. So again, Snowy, thank you for all the music. Snowy retired from touring. Oh, interesting tidbit. I forgot to tell you, the famous guitar, Greenie, that Peter Green famously sold to Gary Moore in the early 70s, something like 71, 72 maybe. Right, this kind of a known legend among blues lovers, how Greenie just wanted the guitar to be played, and so he gave it to Gary for the money that Gary would get from selling his own guitar. And then later on, when Gary fell on hard times and he got into a lot of debt because he was sick during one of his tours, and the insurance didn't pay for the tour, for the expenses, so he had to sell that guitar. He sold it for some money that bailed him out. So Snowy has kind of a similar story. Greenie wanted to sell him that very guitar a little bit before he offered it to Gary, and Snowy didn't take it. Snowy found an almost identical guitar a little bit earlier than that, when he was in Sweden. Someone sold it or traded it to him, and he made some modifications. The two guitars are very, very similar. They both have 59 Les Paul gold tops, and so Snowy just said no. But Snowy could have owned the Greenie that ended up being Gary Greenie, and now is being owned by Kirk Hammett of Metallica. And the guy is also like super chill, super quiet. He always talks nicely and is nice to everybody, to the fans, to the interviewers. Once I had a chance to ask him a question, I asked, why do you think you're so underrated? People don't know you and don't celebrate you like all these. I don't want to mention names, all these flashy guitar players that everybody knows their name. And he just goes, well, I'd rather be underrated than overrated. That's Snowy for you in one sentence, or half of a sentence. Again, happy birthday, March 3rd, 1948. May you have many, many more years. He unfortunately retired from touring and sold his own kind of Greenie, his own gold top that he played for almost 40 years. But he retired from touring, and now he only records occasionally. So again, thank you, Snowy, for all the years and all the music. Have a very, very, very